My name is Ryan Bowen. I'm from Brisbane, Australia, and I am a full-time arm wrestler and arm wrestling promoter.
All right, Ryan. So first thing I'd like to ask everyone is just why arm wrestling? What is it about the sport of arm wrestling that drew you?
Arm wrestling, for me, right from the age of a kid, was it was the easiest way to get into a competition, and I lived for competition. Arm wrestling was just accessible to everyone, school, sport, at work, anywhere, and I just fell in love with it. I only discovered it was a professional sport later into my 20s, and the first day I discovered that, I knew I wanted to be a professional arm wrestler.
What does it mean to you now competing on a WAL stage?
Yeah, competing on a WAL stage for me is literally the fulfillment of a childhood dream. Right from 3 years old, I knew I wanted to be a professional athlete. I didn't know it was going to be arm wrestling, but it turns out here on the best stage on the planet for our sport, the World Arm Wrestling League, I get to fulfill the childhood dream, and honestly, yeah, it's amazing to be here.
Do you feel pressure being the first Australian arm wrestler on this stage? Do you feel like you are representing a country?
Yeah. There is definitely pressure representing Australia as the first athlete out of Australia to be in the WAL on the main stage. It's actually something that I really treasure. I think Australian arm wrestling is really on the rise. There's a lot of talent. There's a lot of really badass arm wrestlers down there. So I'm actually really honored and excited to be the first man to actually step onto that WAL main stage. It's amazing.
Tell me where the nickname Blue comes from.
Yeah. The nickname Blue comes from actually the military, the Australian Defence Force, World War I, World War II. Anyone who had red hair that was a soldier was nicknamed Blue. It was kind of like calling a big guy tiny. And I was just at the top of a rope one day, and the physical training instructor didn't know my name. It was like week 2 of basic training. And he didn't know my name, so he was just yelling out, "Hey, Blue." And it stuck. It's carried over into the arm wrestling world.
Who do you see as a threat to you in the WAL?
The WAL is full of so many champions. There are threats everywhere, literally, in the WAL. There are a few. I can see a path that I want to tread. Names like Justin Bishop. To me, there's so much in there. There's a story with me and Justin. He was actually the first elite arm wrestler I ever faced, and he crushed me. And the times have changed, and I'm ready, and I'm coming back, and I think Justin knows it, and I think I'm gonna get the job done. But there's obviously champions. RVJ holds the hammer. People like Todd Hutchins, once upon a time, was in the middleweight. Todd Hutchins is now my coach, and I would love to, as his pupil, get those hammers and hold them up once again, kind of flying the flag of Todd Hutchins. That would be amazing. So there's a path that I'm seeing that I want to walk, and there are a huge amount of threats. Paul Lynn, amazing new talent. The long namestays like Craig Touye, again, brutal athletes in the middleweight category. But yeah, Justin Bishop, there's a special place for me. Justin Bishop, I would love to face off with Justin Bishop.
What is winning a WAL hammer? What would that mean to you?
Oh, you know, like that is actually, winning a WAL hammer is literally mind-blowing for me right now. I mentioned that just competing in the WAL is a fulfillment of a childhood dream. To win a hammer in the WAL is literally mind-blowing. It would take, it would be the completion of the journey of what I want to achieve in the sport. And then from there, who knows where we go. So it's a special journey, and it's one that I'm so invested in, and I can't wait to chase.
We're going to switch it out a little lightheartedness. Outside of arm wrestling, which is obviously a huge part of your life.
Yeah.
What hobbies do you have?
It's funny, you know, arm wrestling is so consuming in my life that it actually was formed from a hobby. As you know, my career is arm wrestling as well. So even though arm wrestling is like, even though there's a lot of other things to do out there in the world, arm wrestling is so enjoyable for me that it is my hobby as well.
Before you go into the pit, you got your earbuds in, you're listening to a song, something to get you going. What is Ryan Bowen's Pump Me Up song?
I'm someone who likes to stay focused. So my pump up song, if I'm going to come out, is something deep and meaningful. It's not high energy. It's something that builds. It's an epic track. I love classical music, symphony orchestras with big beats and building momentum. That for me builds me up to that moment of ready to go. So we might see something from like Last of the Mohicans or something like that.
If you had to pick, what would you say your spirit animal is?
My spirit animal, everyone of course is going to think a kangaroo or something like that from Australia, and don't get me wrong, kangaroos are pretty badass, but I would say my spirit animal, I would have to go with the great white shark. Okay, down there in Australia, great white shark, it's going to just come out of nowhere and just rip you apart. So people often underestimate me. People think that they see me and they don't think I'm going to be as strong as I am. And yeah, I'm going to come out of nowhere and just destroy people on the table.
And last question, what was Ryan Bowen like in high school?
What was Ryan Bowen like in high school is a fascinating question. You know, when I became a professional arm wrestler and people from high school started realizing I was, they actually were like, huh, yeah, that makes sense. So I was a nice guy. I couldn't pick up the ladies as much as I tried. I think that's a redhead curse, but I was a nice guy and I'd stick up for everyone that was getting bullied. So everything bounced off me pretty easily. I was pretty casual, pretty cruisy. I'm a hard-working, lazy guy. That's kind of how I would describe myself. But yeah, everyone in high school probably thinks this was about where I should have ended up.